In this series, we are going to talk about the logs uh, and what are logging and how to enable logs inside AWS, how to check for the logs, what are alarms, what are the events, and so on. So right now we'll be talking about a service inside AWS, which is known as CloudWatch. In this series, we are going to see that how the cloud resources can be utilized, and when they are utilized, how can we go and have a look at the monitoring of the cloud-based applications or the resources using it. So right now we'll go for the cloud performance monitoring. So cloud monitoring is a method of reviewing, observing, and managing the workflow in cloud-based IT infrastructure. So in this case, if we go for the cloud monitoring, we can monitor what all resources are running, we can observe them, and we can review them as and when required. The service that we are going to use in this case is known as my Cloud Watch. So CloudWatch can be used to monitor, store, or access the details of the resources and also the log files which are there. CloudWatch has many features like you can archive the log data, you can go for the Route 53 log entries, you can query your log data, you can retain it for whatever duration you want, and you can also monitor the logs from your EC2 instance. So in this case, the service that we'll be going for will be CloudWatch. So if we click on CloudWatch over here, we can see that the service of CloudWatch has been enabled. Please remember CloudWatch is a regional service. In this case, it is available in all the regions inside AWS. So it is one of the services of AWS which is available in all the regions, which means that the CloudWatch logs which are there in a region can be accessed inside that region over here. So right now, what we'll be focusing on is more on the metrics part. Subsequently, we'll go to our events and we'll go to logs, and we'll also go for alarms. So metrics is a way by which you can go and have a look at the properties and how your resources are actually performing. For example, if I go to EC2, I can have a live look at how my EC2 instance are performing. So I had few instances over here, so I can see that my CPU utilization actually looks something like this. If you want, you can zoom it and it should be like this then. So my CPU utilization did see a spike over there, and the instance that I had named at that point was I1 over here. So if you have multiple instances, they will all align up and show up over here. Now, it can be the logs for last 1 hour over here where I'm just looking for the CPU average. It can be for last 12 hours, 1 day, or in whatever parameter you have set it to. So if I want, I can have the logs of last 1 day also, last 1 hour also, last 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and so on. Now, this step is important because in real time, when you are working on the machines and the instances and you want to monitor the actual performance of those instances, in that case, these graphs and these charts over here actually help a lot. Now, in this case, right now, if you see the time is 9:25 over here, the reason for that is the time over here happens to be in UTC format. So if I go for local time zone, in that case, it will change to India's time and I can see the params like this. So please don't be confused when you see the time. It happens to be both UTC and the local time zone, which is India in our case. Okay, so this is one of the way metrics, but right now because I don't see any instance over here, so what we'll do for starting, we'll just go to our EC2 and we will go and launch a new instance inside EC2. And over there itself, we are also going to see something as CloudWatch logs. So for that, we go to our EC2 instance. EC2 instance you would have already seen inside the previous recording. So how to create EC2 and what are the various parameters for EC2. I click on launch instances over here and I go and select my Ubuntu 20 machine. You are free to choose any operating system, whichever you like. The operating system can be taken from AWS Marketplace or Community AMI, though it is preferred not to use a Community AMI. You should ideally take it from either AWS Marketplace or a quick start one, which is the base image. So this one just has Ubuntu Server 20 installed inside the machine over here. Okay, so right now we'll go to quick start and we can select our Ubuntu 20 machine. Also, please pay note that you have both x86 and the ARM machines. So if the OS happens to work on x86, you will select this. If in case the requirement is for a ARM processor, you will select that processor. In my case, I'm just selecting a x86 processor, 64-bit. I click on next over here and I will go and create a instance of my choice. Right now I'm going for a T3, a small instance, which is of 2 CPU and 2 GB RAM. Rest all details you would have already seen in the previous recording. I don't need to change them. The default one is also good. And I am good to go and launch my instance with the selected key pair, whatever I have created then. So let's go to view instances. Also, a good habit is to go and name the instance in a way. The reason for that is this instance actually is identified by this unique instance ID. Uh, but for you, the instance ID, like in this case, the instance ID is this. In this case, the instance ID is this. Also, because the instance ID is allocated by AWS, it becomes difficult for us to keep track of what instance is what. So we ideally go and name the instances in a specific way. So because I'm going to work on CloudWatch logs over here, so I'll just name it like that, CloudWatch hyphen logs. Now you're free to name it anything. Also, if you want to change the name, just click over here and it will change. Yeah, alternate way, you can go to tags over here. You can click on manage tags and whatever tags you want, you can change there also. So there are multiple ways of doing the same thing. So let's go and get connected with the instance. For that, click on connect and let's go to the SSH client here and let's make a connection with the instance now. So I just pulled in my terminal. Please remember that if you're working on a Unix or a Mac, you can directly do SSH from the terminal itself. If you are working on a Windows machine, you will have to do that via the PuTTY software. So right now, I'll just navigate to downloads where my key is there. I just run the command and I say yes. And I do see that my machine is up. So the private IP of this machine is 172.31.16.166. Let's go back and that's the same IP which I see over here. So indeed, I'm in the same instance. Alternatively, you can also go and type ifconfig over here, which will show you the IP. Now in the new versions of the Ubuntu, you don't see ifconfig there. So let's go and install that. For that, just it's always better to go and run apt-get update first to get the packages which were not there in this instance while launching the instance. And after that, we will go and type ifconfig. Uh, Ubuntu, you go and run a command or Unix in general, you go and run a command. And if it is not found, it is also going to tell you that you can how to install it. So in this case, it is just going and telling me that I have to go and run this nettools. I go and install that software. And now if I go and type ifconfig over here, I should see the instance. So the private IP for me is 172.31.16.166. This is visible from here. This is also visible from here. Although if I want, I can also go to my instance and see that, yes, indeed, I do have my machine private IP, which is like this. Now, I will just run the processor. So this is like your task manager. There are multiple ways. You can go for top and it will show you the commands, or you can go for htop. So you can use any one of the command. As you can see that I went for a 2 GB instance. So I have approximately 1955 MB of RAM inside my machine. Now this instance in some time is going to show up inside my CloudWatch logs over here. We'll just go over here, refresh it, and in some time I should also see my new instance actually coming up, which will be there. So that we'll see the CloudWatch logs over here. But because it has hardly been some time while I created this, so it will take some time for the logs to show up. We will come back to that in some time. Before that, let's go to our EC2 instance. Now, there are multiple ways of viewing the logs of your machine. So to view how much resources are being used by whom, you can either click on the monitoring tab over here, in which case, if the instance is there, it will start to show you what all resources are being utilized after it has started. Right now, if you see, the status still happens to be initializing. So if it is all good over there, now that it is running and everything is good, you can see if you click on your monitoring tag, you are going to see certain charts which are automatically plotted for that particular instance. So for example, right now, I don't have any data available. And the reason for that, as you already know, is that I have just installed this instance as of now. So we are going to come back to this one in some time. In the meantime, we will also talk about alarms, and we will also talk about logs. So first of all, what is an alarm? As the name itself is suggesting you, alarm is a trigger that is created for some scenario that has occurred. Now, AWS CloudWatch goes and listens to the instances and the attributes of the instances on whatever you have created the alarm at. For example, if my CPU goes above a specific percentage, alarm might be triggered. If my network in or network out goes above something, my alarm might be triggered. Similar cases, if my disk read and write go above a certain threshold, alarm can be triggered. So what are the thresholds for that? That is automatically decided by you. You might have multiple alarms for that sake. You can have a alarm. Let's say whenever my CPU goes above 60%, you might want to create an alarm, or whenever the CPU goes above 80%, in that case, again, you might want to go and create a alarm. So a same instance can have multiple alarms. Alarms are not a property only of the EC2 instance. You might also create an alarm for your S3 bucket. You might want to create it for your RDS instance. You might want to create it for your DynamoDB and so on. So alarms are a dynamic thing which can be created for any service and for the parameters for which AWS is supporting that particular alarm. So you can go and create an alarm. For that, we will go to our alarms over here. So let's go and create a sample alarm right now, where I will say that whenever my CPU goes above 10%, I will be triggering a particular alarm. So for that, just click on create alarm. In this case, you will have to select the metrics. For that, you will have to go and select, first of all, the service on which the alarm has been created. Now you might see some services over here in the beginning. You might only see two or three or maybe only one. The reason for that is AWS will only show you the services for which you have used those particular services. So in our case, we are working on EC2. So I'll go and select EC2 over here. And now it's going to tell me all the instances based on whatever parameters you want, and you can create the instance. So right now I'll just go to per instance metrics, and the metric that I'm interested in right now happens to be my percentage CPU utilization. So if you can go and select it like this metric name, in which it will go and create the metric as per that particular instance, or you might want to go and create on the instance name. So in that case, the instance name is on the top over here. So let's go for the CPU utilization over here. So the moment I click on CPU utilization, I'll just go to select metric, and let's say metric, let's make it like CPU above 80 for that instance ID, and whenever it goes more than 10%. So in that case, I'll click on next over here. And whenever there are three states over here in alarm, so this is when the you have created, let's say, a alarm for CPU more than 10%. So if the CPU goes above 10, that's a alarm. Okay is when it remains less than 10. So that's a okay state for you. So if in case you have created an alarm for let's say 80%, in that case, alarm state will be anything more than 80. So 81 to 100 will be your alarm state, and anything less than 80 is going to be a okay state. Okay, so these two states are there. Apart from that, you also have one insufficient state that is just there if in case the alarm has just triggered right now, or there is not enough data available at this moment. So let's say, because if I create an alarm right now, it will go for some time and gather the information. So in that case, you will see the alarm happens to be in an insufficient state. That is also what we are going to see right now. So right now I'm just creating alarm for in more than 10%, which is in alarm. And if in case I want, I might also want to go and send a notification. For that, I can either select an existing topic or I can create a new topic, in which case I will have to go and give the email IDs on whatever mail IDs I want to create the alarm. So right now I'm just selecting an existing topic ARN, and I'm just going and creating it on this particular number over here. So let's go back over here, and if in case I want, I'll click on next over here and I will create the name of the alarm. So let's say the name of the alarm is alarm of CPU above 80. In this case, I have the alarm description. I'll say this alarm will be created when the CPU goes above 10%. So I'll just go and rename it to 10, CPU 10. So this alarm will be created whenever the CPU goes above 10%, and I will get a notification. So I click on next over here, and now AWS is going to tell you that, okay, your alarm right now happens to be, your existing value happens to be somewhere over here, because we have recently created the instance also, and your alarm threshold or the maximum that you have set is set as 10 over here. Okay, so if you go over here and you click on create alarm, so now our alarm will be created. And as we said earlier, initially this alarm is going to be in this state. So I have created an alarm which will load up over here, and in some time I am going to see that alarm coming up. So in the beginning, like we said, that you are going to see the alarm initially in an insufficient state. So that is why I see over here insufficient data, because right now only it has been created. In some time we are going to see that the alarm might go up or down based on how much CPUs we are using at that point of time. So right now it's in insufficient data where it says 1. In some time it will go either to a okay state or to a alarm state, depending on what the configuration is at that moment. So if we go over here, we'll see that hardly the CPU is being used also. So that is why this alarm will be inside a okay state basically. So let it happen. In some time, we'll see it actually coming up over here. In the meantime, we have to do one more thing now. And the thing is that this particular instance, we know will be having some logs. So the logs in this scenario are the logs which are there for this EC2 instance. Now, what does this mean in the first place? So logs can be defined as some logging activity or as some data which is pushed or which is printed or which is saved for some operation which has been done. For instance, me writing some data to a file, and the file size became so huge that my operating system was unable to write the data in the file. That is also example of a log. Or you can take example wherein you were trying to send some data to a S3 bucket and that actually failed. So that is also something as a log. um, Another way is your instance has actually restarted, or your instance has actually stopped. So if in case it has suddenly stopped, you might want to know the reason that why it happened in the first place. For that, again, you can go and check your logs. So logs are a very important thing when we are talking about AWS application developer, because that is the thing where our primary focus is on, to see the logs, and based on the logs getting the configurations. So now that our instance is all good and running, we'll also want to push the logs of this particular instance itself inside AWS. So for that reason, what I will do is I will have to go and create AWS log agent. As you would have seen in the video earlier, AWS log agent is used in scenarios where I have to go and read the logs of any application or any service of AWS. So for that, you will have to go and explicitly create a AWS log agent, and you will have to go and put it inside your instance. Now, when we say you have to go and create or you have to go and put it, what we actually mean is that you will have to go and get the instance details, and you will have to go and install it inside that operating system of your choice. Now, because I already have an instance, which I have named it as CloudWatch hyphen logs, I am just going to go and install this inside my instance over there. So the easiest way to do that is sudo, first of all, always better to sudo apt hyphen get update. And then because I'm working on Python, I will go and run the command for Python over here, and I will install the AWS logs. So command for that is sudo python, and we are going to see some logs also, errors by the way, but we'll, as and when we see it, we will resolve it in real time to understand that what are the possibilities that you might see. So AWS logs hyphen these things, you need to go and give that. But before that, you will have to go and download the package to install AWS logs agent inside your instance. So for that, let's go and we'll go and just search AWS logs agent, and I need to install it inside my EC2 instance. This, by the way, is already available inside the recordings over there. So you might want to go over there and have a look at it. So if I have to configure, let's open the link over here. And AWS is going to tell you in a very detailed way what are the commands which you have to run. So for that, the, the policy part is step number one. I'm skipping it right now because we want to see a error, and based on that we will go and come back, and then we'll actually understand that why do we need this in the first place. So right now, because I'm working on a Ubuntu machine, so I'll go and copy the commands for Ubuntu, for which I'll go and copy this, and basically this is the location of that particular package, which is in .py location, which stands for a Python file. Now I'll just go and copy this, and with a change over here, because my instance is in India, so I'll just go and create my CloudWatch logs also inside India. This part here, and I'll see that it errored out. It says Python command not found. So this is the first error that you see. And this error actually means that Python is not installed inside the shell over here. So for that, you can just go and, if you want to see, you can just go and type Python, and you will see that Python is itself not installed. So I go and type Python over here, and I see that Python itself is not installed. So for that, just go and install Python by sudo apt-get install, and let's give Python here, which will actually go and install Python. Yes. And it should go and install Python version 2.7 inside my machine. So let it happen. Also remember that it's advisable to use Python 3 at this moment, because the support of Python 2 already has been dropped as we speak. But because for this command, AWS is telling me I need Python, so that is the reason why I went for that. If you want, you can also go Python hyphen version over here, and it's going to tell you the version of Python, which is 2.7.18. So now at this point of time, I can go and copy the same command that I had done earlier and paste it over here. And it's going to go and get the dependencies required. So what actually happens at this point of time is it is going and installing this. So this particular software was already installed earlier when you did the curl command, and it based on this region. Now at this point of time, you will see it will ask you for some credentials, and let's go back and see why do we need the credentials over here. So access key ID, secret access key, region name, and these things I don't have. So right now I'm just stopping it, and let's understand that why do we need those things over there. So the part for this is that if at all my AWS service has to go and it has to go and access my CloudWatch. So CloudWatch agent is going to go and get the details of my EC2 instance. Now, also, if you remember from your IAM class, if a service in AWS has to go and access another service in AWS, you have to go and create a role for that. So we will be creating a role for EC2, and we will be going and giving it certain permissions, or how we call it as policies. So that's where this part fits in. What AWS told you for step number one, that you have to go and either create your role like that, or you have to go and create a user for CloudWatch logs. So this is the policy that AWS was telling me in the first place, that you will have to go and create a user over here, or you will have to create a role, depends on you. And that is where this all actually started from. So no worries, we'll go over here and we'll go for our IAM, and let's go and start to create a policy. This policy, I will call it as EC2 CloudWatch, EC2 CloudWatch agent policy. Okay, so what it does is, again, if you remember, EAR, effect action resource, I am allowing, and what it can create the log group, it can create the log stream. Log group because the logs are kept over there, log stream for streaming of the data which goes inside log, put log because I have to go and update the logs over there, and finally because I might want to see the stream, so describe log streams for that reason. So I just go copy this and I go to IAM console, and as AWS is telling, I'll have to create the policy. So for that, I go to policies over here. I click on create policies, and then I'll just go to my JSON and I create a policy like this and tags over here. And if you want, you can go and create a tag, let's say created by, and you can give the name here and review, and then you can go and give a name to this. So let's call this as EC2 hyphen cloud agent hyphen user, or this policy is there, so let's just say EC2 hyphen cloud agent, or that's it. And description, let's say this policy will allow me to access CloudWatch from my EC2 instance. Okay, so we'll just remember this name EC2 Cloud Agent because we need it in some time, and we click on create policy now. So once the policy is created, if you go back to the documentation, it is asking you can create either a user or a role. I'll go and create a user right now. So for that, I click on users over here, and let's call it as a CloudWatch agent. Okay, CloudWatch hyphen agent hyphen EC2, and I'll give it a programmatic access. In the next permissions, I will just go and attach the policy which I created some time back. So for that, I click over here and I just go and search for that policy, which happens to be here. If you want, you can also click on this button and expand the policy and see for yourself how it is. Then click on next tags over here, review and create user. At this moment, by the way, you will be shown the secret access key and the access key ID. Going back, if you remember, this is the place where we had stopped also, because it had asked me to go and give me the access key and the secret access key, which I don't have. So let's go back now here and we'll start doing that. So so let's go back to our where we had to go and do the configuration so that we could have installed the logs. So for that, now that we have our secret access key and the access key ID, that is what we are going to use now. So for that, let AWS go and run the basic steps required to install the CloudWatch log agent. And the moment it will ask me for my access key ID and the secret access key, we are going to provide that. Now, also remember that it's not only the access key ID it's going to ask you for. There are many things over there which we are going to see now. So right now, let's give the access key ID, and the secret access key is this. My region is AP South 1. Now, how did it automatically know AP South 1? Because earlier when we were running it, we had given that the region has to be AP South 1. That is how it automatically knows. Same thing, if you go and do a check with what you did inside your IAM, at that point of time, it will say none. So that's the reason why it automatically knew. Output format, none is fine. If you want, you can give table also, entirely dependent on you how you want to say it. And the moment you click on next, it is saying that what is the log file that you want to upload at this point of time. There are two things. If you want the detailed logs of your operating system or of your machine or of your instance, whatever you might term it, in that case, you can just press enter. However, there are various scenarios in which various logs are kept for various applications. So now the thing that we are going to talk about right now is the application logs. So in case of application log, you don't have to do anything out of the box. The only thing that you have to do is that you have to give the folder location of that particular application log. So let's go and take an example. For example, MongoDB and logs and location. If you just go and search for that, it is going to tell you that, okay, the logs are going to be saved inside this location. So in ideal cases, it's always good to go to your the official documentation and have a look over there. So it is telling you that it will also tell you the location where the logs are going to be saved over there. Okay, so right now, because I want the logs of my instance, so for that reason, I'll just press enter over here. And then it says destination log group name. In this case, what is expected is by what name do you want to save the logs at? Okay, so let me just go and put something like machine logs over here. And then how do you want the log stream? You can either use the instance ID, or you can give the host name, or you can give a name of your own. For now, I'm just giving instance ID because by that, I know that this log is coming from that particular resource. Now remember, logging or CloudWatch logs is not only from one service, it can be from any one of them. So if you give the instance ID or the resource ID, it actually helps you in understanding that where the log is actually flowing from. So for that, I pressed enter, and finally it will ask you that in what format do you need the logs in. It can be in this format, example this. It can be in this format. In India, we use something like this: date, month, and year. And or it can be in case of the US format, you have a year, month, and the date. So it entirely depends on you in what format you want it. I am selecting option 2 over here because I want it to be like this. Now, if you have a specific thing, you can make it like that: date, month, year, and then hour, minute, second, and it will show up in that format. So the moment you click on 2, it will ask you that where do you want to upload the file from the start of the file or from the end of the file. I'm choosing start. And then if you want to configure any other file. So in this case, if at all you are working on the application logs, for instance, let's say that you are working on Java and you are working on MongoDB, in that case, you will have to go and give both the location. So if you press Y, the same process is going to start again. In my case, I'm just pressing N because I am done with the logs, and the logs should now show up to me inside my CloudWatch console. So going back over here, this is the important thing inside the application logs, that you can choose the location from where you want the logs to be shown at. So based on whatever location you have, you can do that. Apart from that, even if you miss it, no worries, you can go and run the same command again. And in that case, again, the process will trigger and you can go and create the logs over there at that point of time. Okay, so these are the various methods by which you can go and give the logs. So anyhow, if we go back to our instances over here, I see that the instance, there is no change in the instance right now because I haven't done anything at this level. The change that has happened should be inside my CloudWatch over here. So for that, I go to my logs over here and I'll see that I have a log group or a log inside. For that, I'll go to my log groups and I should start to see a log group by my name. So by whatever name I had entered over there at that point of time. So I see the machine logs over here. The reason for that is when I was doing the configuration, I had chosen the name as machine logs over there. Okay, so that is why it shows me like that. Now, if you want, you can go and give whatever configuration you want. So that's the machine logs which we were talking about. You are free to choose any one of them. You might also want to give something like maybe instance ID I hyphen this and bracket, you have your machine logs, and then you have your I hyphen instance hyphen application, I hyphen hyphen database, and so on. Okay, so let's go back and have a look at the logs. For that, you can click on the log names over here. And if you click on the instance, so log stream is the instance ID that we saw. Once you click over there, it is going to show you the entire logs, whatever is there for that particular machine. So whatever logs were there, it's all showing you over here. So based on my current time, it will keep on refreshing. And that is how you can go and have a look at the logs. Now, there is another new service, which is something known as Insights. If you go and enable that, AWS will automatically go and tell you if there is any data that can be extracted. So let's say that there are certain things. In this case, you can do a sort, you can do a limit, you can do a run, and then whatever results are there of the log, you might want to go and check that. So going back to my log groups over here, these particular log groups, I can click over here. And the interesting thing is I can also go and export the data to Amazon S3, in which case it is going to tell me that in what bucket you have to go and you have to create that particular logs in. So where do you actually want to go and export the logs at? So it can either be this account, it can be another account, that is entirely dependent on you. And once you have the logs, you can go and read the logs. So like in the presentation, we talked about multiple ways which can be used to go and query the logs and get some meaningful information from that logs, like Splunk you have, and you have various other tools. So you can use them to get some information or some insights about the logs. Now, these logs are also important for the application data perspective. The reason for that is application or whatever database or whatever service you are using, that is working as per its own folder, and you can go and get the logs from there. Now, going back to my instance, what I had created. So whatever alarms I had created, they will all start to show up over here, like the alarm over here, which I had created. And this alarm will be triggered whenever, let's say, my CPU goes above 10% for whatever instance I had created at that point of time. So this is about my CloudWatch logs. We have also seen about how we can go and create the log groups and the insights. And we have also seen about the metrics. In the next class, we'll go and see interesting scenario, something known as CloudWatch events, in which case I can go and create my own rules, and these rules will be applied to my whatever resources I want. It can be a EC2 instance, it can be my S3 bucket, and so on. So right now, it's good to go and have a look at the logs, go and create a few instances, a few alarms, and then have a look at the metrics. So that will give you a basic understanding of how the instances work and what exactly the logs are. So you can go and have a look at that, and I'll see you when we are with our events and with our Lambda process. So we'll add events with Lambda and we'll do pretty interesting things over there. Okay, so that's it for this class, and